time to learn more about the capabilities of the Barracuda Web Application Firewall as a Service. The Barracuda WAF is an award-winning reverse proxy solution for protecting and securing your web applications. It mitigates known and unknown threats, blocks attacks, protects sensitive data, and enhances application delivery. It's also easy to deploy and simple to manage and maintain. Here is just a little more data to highlight the situation. Web vulnerabilities make up 80% of all discovered vulnerabilities, and 75% of all cyber attacks are aimed at web applications. In past years, websites have served over 12 billion malicious ad impressions annually. And in the last 5 years, over 5 million websites were defaced by attackers. So everyone is a target and vulnerabilities are easy to find. The consequences of a breach can be very costly, not just in financial terms, but also in trust and reputation. You've heard about some of the big breaches that have happened in the last few years at very large corporations and government agencies. These breaches resulted in the theft of multiple millions of user account data, credit card numbers, and personal records. Would you think twice about shopping at a large retail store that had been breached again? Maybe next time you'll pay with cash instead of a credit card. The average cost of a breach is $3.8 million, and for every record stolen, the cost is $154. Now think about whether your organization can weather a huge loss like that for something that could have easily been averted. Deploying a Barracuda Web Application Firewall provides immediate threat protection for your web applications and back-end servers. Looking at the diagrams here, without a WAF, your applications are exposed to the outside world and all the vulnerabilities are visible to attackers. If you wanted to mitigate the threats, the only way to do that would be to go in and patch the code itself. With the Barracuda Web Application Firewall, those vulnerabilities are insulated and secure from the outside world without making changes to code or back-end servers. Essentially, the Barracuda Web Application Firewall provides security that extends the security posture of your network. Network firewalls or Layer 4 firewalls don't protect web applications because, by definition, incoming traffic on ports 80 and 443 passes straight through to the web application servers. If it didn't, then no web applications would be reachable behind a firewall. A CloudGen firewall's job is to let known good traffic through to your network while keeping bad traffic out. The issue is that HTTP and HTTPS protocols are known good traffic, and hackers piggyback their attacks and infections on top of HTTP. So it ends up that firewalls will pass those harmful requests to the server right along with non-malicious requests because they're both on what the firewall knows to be good traffic. A web application firewall secures web servers by intercepting all traffic, including HTTPS traffic, and inspecting it for attacks. In this example, the WAF detected an obfuscated cross-site scripting attack and blocked the request from getting to the web server while legitimate traffic passes through. A firewall won't secure this type of threat. But a WAF shouldn't stop there. WAFs also need to provide outbound inspection to secure against data loss. In this case, if the web server is compromised, a WAF should be able to prevent the leakage of sensitive data. One of the most common questions is, doesn't a firewall secure websites? Unfortunately, a firewall doesn't secure web applications as it doesn't have the visibility into requests being sent to web applications to mitigate and block threats. WAFs and firewalls don't replace each other as they secure different threats. While the Barracuda Cloud Generation Firewall secures access to your network and protects end users from threats and attacks, the Barracuda Web Application Firewall secures your web applications as part of your broader strategy to secure all your network threat vectors. The WAF can even use activity and profiling information from trusted hosts to automatically learn and fine-tune policies in order to reduce false positives. Together, they work hand in hand to ensure a layered security model that will protect your network, end users, and servers. Barracuda Web Application Firewalls provide best-of-breed security with an expansive set of features. Here's a list of some of the security features of the Barracuda Web Application Firewall. The WAF recognizes and protects against the known and common web attacks, such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and cross-site request forgeries. The WAF contains both positive and negative security models. A negative security model, also known as a blacklist model, contains definitions of the known attacks and malicious patterns that are out there, and the WAF compares inputs received against the blacklist, and if there's a match, then the request is rejected. This is a very long list of definitions that allows the WAF to recognize bad traffic and reject it upon detection. The WAF also has a positive security model, also known as a whitelist, which defines a list of accepted and allowed values such as URLs and input patterns, and anything that does not match those patterns is also rejected by the WAF. This is actually a more stringent type of security and is the type that allows protection against zero-day attacks, which are attack patterns that have not yet been identified. And with adaptive profiling, the WAF can be placed into learning mode and automatically develop a profile of the set of URLs and input patterns that are allowed to be accessed on the server. This frees you up from creating that list by hand, which is beneficial in the case of when a website or set of applications gets very large. Website cloaking is designed to deny the attacker any insight or information as to what's behind the web application. These would be things like what web server is being used, what operating system is being run, what the patch or update level of the operating system or application is, and so on. Any information coming from the server about what the system actually is that the attacker can use to launch his exploit will get read and can be blocked by the WAF. Also, error messages that come from the server are replaced with generic error messages that don't give away any detailed system information. For data loss or data theft prevention, the WAF will search through the data coming out of the web application and locate things like credit card numbers, social security numbers, or medical record numbers, and obfuscate or completely block that data to prevent it falling into unauthorized hands. The WAF also has an antivirus protection. Note that this does not protect the client from viruses, but rather protects the server. For example, if your site has a function where users can upload files or documents to the server, those are scanned by the WAF for viruses. Brute force protection works by placing limits on the maximum number of requests per user, which then effectively blocks brute force attacks whereby the hacker is trying the same operation again and again, such as a session login or authentication with different usernames and passwords. For denial of service protection, the WAF implements rate control and session control. Rate control is the WAF buffering incoming requests and feeding them to the back-end servers at a rate the WAF knows that the servers can handle. Session control is limiting the number of sessions that's available for a particular user, thereby preventing session flooding. IP blocking means that traffic can be filtered and blocked based on its geographical location. This allows blocking of requests from specific countries or regions. Traffic can also be blocked based on its IP reputation, as derived from an IP reputation list. So sites that are known to be malicious will be on that list, and the WAF will block any traffic from those sites. Some web apps use XML as a way to talk to the server, such as the request coming over HTTP is actually an XML request that gets an XML response. Hackers can attack a site through XML just as they can with HTTP. So the WAF via its XML firewall will look at those requests and make sure they're well formed, make sure there is no attacks on them, and block any attacks that are trying to come through. As you just heard, the WAF protects against numerous types of attacks and threats, but what ultimately could happen if the WAF wasn't there? Really, all sorts of bad things are possible after an attacker successfully executes an attack, including loss of information, reputation detriment, and financial loss. Some of the most common results are defaced websites where an attacker will add or change text and images on the website, often in a vulgar manner. Unwanted link injection, where an attacker will add a link to the website that blends in with the rest of the page, but actually connects the user to a malicious site where they can have their information stolen or system compromised. Command and control threats, where an attacker can gain control of your server without your knowledge, then use it as a zombie for malicious purposes, including launching denial of service attacks on other servers throughout the world. Compliance is always very important, and the Barracuda WAF has been certified by ICSA Labs as an effective web application firewall solution. The WAF is an important and necessary tool in order to maintain application requirements outlined by various organizations, including PCI, HIPAA, SOX, FISMA, and FIPS. NSS Labs is a unique analyst in the IT security landscape because they're the only ones who do thorough quantitative tests on products. They are well respected in the industry for this. After going through rigorous testing, the Barracuda WAF has consistently come out with a top rating amongst competitors for security effectiveness. Thank you very much for listening. Now let's take a look at the WAF-as-a-Service environment. Hello, and welcome to the Barracuda Web Application Firewall as a Service demo. Let's start by talking about some of the WAF-as-a-Service highlights. The WAF-as-a-Service security engine is the same as the regular WAF, but there is nothing to deploy or size and no firmware or hardware to maintain. All traffic is encrypted on your behalf automatically and at no cost using Let's Encrypt. Now let's look at the wizard to define what application website we are protecting. The first thing we would need to do is enter an application name and domain name under websites. Now we select information about how traffic will be accepted under IP addresses. The protocol selection allows traffic to arrive via both HTTP and HTTPS. We also recommend redirecting any HTTP traffic to HTTPS to create the most secure connection. This is called Instant SSL. The IP address section allows Barracuda to provide a new public IP address for your web application so that traffic can first be filtered through the WAF. Now we would enter the IP address or host name of your web application and test the connection under backend server. But since this is a demo environment, we can stop here for now. The next steps, as you can see above, would be to select the mode to monitor a block. We recommend starting with monitor mode so that you can keep an eye on potential threats, but ensure you won't be accidentally blocking any critical traffic. After that has been confirmed, you can switch to a block mode to keep your web application fully protected. The final step is to change your DNS record through your service provider. The DNS record must be modified to the new IP address that was provided by Barracuda so that traffic will be routed to the Barracuda WAF before going to your servers. After that process is finished, your web application will be fully protected by the Barracuda WAF. Now let's take a look at our existing demo application. As you can see, the dashboard shows a variety of information about the traffic and attacks this web application has been protected from. Now let's take a look at the server settings. You have the ability to add multiple servers for your application, and different servers can be weighted differently. Servers can also be assigned as a backup, so traffic will only go to it if all other servers are unavailable. This can be configured to show an error message or a "we're sorry" page. Load balancing options can also be adjusted between round robin, weighted round robin, or least requests. The Add Components option allows you to add components to the side menu bar. It is important to note that all components are already turned to best practices, but once added to the menu bar, allow for configuration adjustments. This greatly simplifies the process to ensure you are already getting best practices protection for everything, but can still make granular adjustments when necessary without having to be a security specialist. One of the components we added for our demo environment was DDoS. As you can see, there are many DDoS attack type protection configurations that can be adjusted. For example, if we look at web scraping, we can see that we can turn it on or off and configure honeypots and bots. A great feature of the interface is that if you hover over any of the information icons, a brief description of the configuration will appear to give you additional information about the topic. Another component we have added is cookie security. This is a mechanism that allows cookies to be signed and encrypted in order to prevent tampering. These are just a few of the features available. Many other components can be added and customized whenever necessary. Firewall logs are a great resource to show more information about an attack and potentially provide ideas about how to improve the tuning of your application security. If you click on a specific attack, it will display more information about it, including event details, IP address, and browser information. That concludes the demo portion of the presentation. Please speak with a sales representative about available offerings, and thank you for joining.